The Buddhist sermon is delivered by the Venerable Weligepola Seelawansa Maha Thera of the Siri Vajraramaya in Bambalapitiya.
නමෝ තස්ස භගවතු අරහතු සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස නමෝ තස්ස භගවතු අරහතු සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස නමෝ තස්ස භගවතු අරහතු සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස. Dear devotees, today I have selected very valuable sermon taught by the Buddha named Maha Thera Bojjhanga Sutta. I think this discourse is included in the Book of Protection or Paritta. In Sri Lanka, it has become very popular among the Sikh because the Buddha and his disciples chanted this sutta, this sermon, especially to the sick. The Buddha also listened to Maha Thera Bojjhanga Sutta. Similar to that sutta, it is known as Chunda Sutta when he was sick. I think I like to give the necessary details in this sutta, in this sermon included in this sutta, but however I like to give the history of this sutta. Venerable Maha Thera was one of the foremost Buddhist disciples during the advent of the Buddha. He was among the 80 foremost disciples of the Buddha. His bodily appearance was similar to that of the Buddha. Therefore, some devotees brought some benefits to offer to the Buddha, but on some occasions they offered those benefits, those parikkara in Pali language, to Maha Thera. Therefore, he disliked it. He wanted to go away from the Buddha or depart from the Buddha because he did not like to show the similarity with the Buddha. Therefore, one day he decided to go to the forest to follow a special religious practice known as Dhutanga. I think there are 13 Dhutangas. They are not regarded as austerities, followed by some other religious groups contemporary to the Buddha. However, Maha Thera liked to follow those Dhutanga, some special religious practices in the forest. Therefore, he observed them himself as an arahant, and while he was residing in the forest, he depended on begging alms, and also he wore the necessary robes made of some rags put over the cemeteries. Like that, there were 13 special religious practices followed by him. I gave you some of them, 2 of them. However, after a long period of time, while he was residing in one of the rock cave in the forest, he was seriously sick and he could not bear up his sicknesses. He told it to Venerable Thera, who was one of the chief attendants of the Buddha. Venerable Ananda reported to the Buddha that Venerable Maha Thera was seriously sick. Then the Buddha After hearing that, he visited Venerable Maha Thera and he reminded 7 Bojjhangas. I think English translation of Bojjhangas means awakening factors. I think the name of awakening factors, that term is very, very important because the mind should be kept awakened if one wants to recover from sicknesses. On the other hand, when the mind becomes very awakened, having awakened mind, always I think he can understand the reality. After becoming sick, if anybody is tortured or suffering from a certain kind of sicknesses or diseases, some may be some chronic diseases, but the pain out of sicknesses could be tolerated after understanding the reality of life. That's why that discourse has been introduced as awakening factors. They are 7 in number. Today also in Sri Lanka and in some other Theravada Buddhist countries, the bhikkhus, traditional bhikkhus in Sri Lanka especially, they go to those who are sick and chant them, reminding the 7 awakening factors to the sick. Many Buddhist monks here in Sri Lanka are invited to go to the sick and to chant Bojjhanga Suttas. One Bojjhanga Sutta is included in Maha Moggallana Bojjhanga Sutta and also Chunda Bojjhanga Sutta. And Maha Moggallana Bojjhanga Sutta and Maha Kassapa Bojjhanga Sutta also. Now, before chanting this sutta to Maha Thera, the Buddha was in meditation, the culmination of meditation. That culmination of meditation is introduced in Buddhist texts, that Patisallana Uttito. Patisallana Uttito means after recovered from, awakened from some jhana. Jhana means ecstasies, known in Buddhist texts. Ecstasies means very important to to concentrate one's mind. After concentration of the mind, I think some pain sprung out of the torture or pain out of the diseases could be recovered. The Buddha, one day in the evening, when he was meditating that Nirodha Samapatti. Nirodha Samapatti is known in Buddhist texts as suspension of perception and sensation completely. I think usually every human being is capturing or grasping some sense objects through the sense organs. According to Buddhist thought, Chakku, Sota, Ghana, Jiva, Kaya, I think they are known as senses or sense organs. Out of those sense organs, they graph sense objects. Out of eye, he graph sight. Similarly, the other organs also grasping some objects. Here in Nirodha Samapatti, all the objects grasped by the person is suspended. After suspension of all the sensory objects, I think he becomes unconscious. When mind has become unconscious, all the painful happenings experienced by certain person after becoming sick could be forgotten. So therefore, this is one of the psychological methods taught by the Buddha to suspend the pain sprung out of some diseases, serious diseases. Here the Buddha was also sometimes, we have got to know with reference to Mahaparinibbana Sutta, when he was seriously sick, he practiced that meditation, suspension of perception and sensation, which is known as Nirodha Samapatti. So therefore, the Buddha himself experienced that practice, religious practice, which is known as the highest or culmination of the religious practice experienced by a person to suppress or subdue some pain sprung out of the diseases. Buddha, having experienced this religious practice, he wanted to remind Venerable Maha Thera also the same practice. He went to Maha Thera, who was residing in a rock cave in the thick forest, and he reminded 7 awakening factors, Bojjhangas, to Maha Thera. Then before reciting, chanting those awakening factors, he was inquisitive the health of Maha Thera. That is also one of the psychological therapy taught in Buddhist psychology. After inquiring the health of Maha Thera, the Buddha chanted. I think here not only chanting but also reminding. Now usually a sick one cannot remind these Bojjhangas, awakening factors, if he is seriously sick. But here Maha Thera was an Arahant. According to Buddhist tradition, Arahant is one who has eliminated all the defilements. After elimination of all the defilements, I think some may question why such an Arahant is having that experience of pain in the sicknesses. But, however, he is bearing Panchakanda. Panchakanda means Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana in English. Body, sensation, perception, conditioned formations, and consciousness. So how far a certain one is bearing such a body, is experiencing sicknesses, although he is an Arahant. So therefore Buddha, after awareing that, he went to Venerable Maha Thera. He reminded 7 awakening factors, Bojjhangas, to Maha Thera. I think namely I like to give them orderly: Sati, Dhammavicaya, Viriya, Piti, Passaddi, Samadhi, Upekka. I think they are the 7 awakening factors included in Maha Thera Bojjhanga. I think first one is very, very important, Sati. Sati means mindfulness. Not only the sick, but also some others also should practice Sati, mindfulness, in his daily life, especially in the time of period of sick. Here Sati means always concentrating, mindfully keep in the mind concentrated on a certain selected point. When one is walking, when one is standing, when one is sitting, and also in every postures in his life, he must be mindful. But especially here mindfulness means always understanding the reality of the body, understanding the reality of the mind, understanding the reality of the sensation. Sukha, dukkha, adukka masukha. Sukha means comfortable sensation. Dukkha means discomfortable sensation. Adukka masukha means indifferent sensation. And also understanding the phenomenal happenings around one's life. That is known as Dhammata. Dhammata in Pali language means all the phenomenal happenings. Now, as an example, one who is born in this world definitely happens to become sick, decay in his body, and also gradually becoming old, and finally to die. I think sometimes, usually according with reference to some suttas, some sermons, he definitely happens to experience the good deeds done in the previous births as well as bad deeds done in the previous births. Good deeds are bringing good results, bad deeds become bad results. I think definitely periodically they are coming upon one's life. I think especially the sick one understand that. The sicknesses and according to Dhammata, phenomenal happenings, becoming old, decaying and some other variations of the life are also valid to sick one, everyone. Actually that realistic understanding also prevents the pain sprung out of some diseases. I think this fourfold understanding is belonging to Sati. Now everyone should understand the real nature of one's life and also especially the variations changing of the mind also. And also sensation. Sometimes we experience comfortable sensation or feeling and immediately sometimes it is changed into discomfortable feelings or sensations, and sometimes indifferent feelings or sensations. So similarly, understanding the impermanence of sensations, impermanence of the body, impermanence of the mind. Now usually the mental conditions, the mind is also impermanent, and also especially the sick may understand the phenomenal happenings. As I told you early, as an example, the death. One who is born definitely happens to die. Like that, understanding the reality of this life and also other awakening factors also should be understood, which have been given by me, namely. So therefore, the Buddha, after visiting to Maha Thera, he chanted or reminded these 7 awakening factors to Maha Thera. He recovered from his disease. So similarly, you also should practice these Bojjhangas, awakening factors, if you want to recover from some diseases. May you live long in peace and happiness. Sukhi Digayuko Bhava.
The Buddhist sermon was delivered by the Venerable Weligepola Seelawansa Maha Thera of the Siri Vajraramaya in Bambalapitiya. If you wish to contact the Reverend Thera, you may call 071 807 0746.